look at these two. You and your goddamn sock bin. So true.
It's so
So
true. Oh,
true. Could you guys just shut up? Meow, 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 meow.
here we go. Buckle up. It's kind of part of it because we're talking about dates and we're talking about
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
relationships,
yeah.
and then we talk about coffee. So I need to hear this coffee story. I gotta hear it.
So I don't drink coffee anymore. Uh,
Yes.
as because of current times, like health reasons keep me from having caffeine and stuff. But
Mhm.
I haven't drank coffee in over 2+ decades.
Oh,
You
okay, yeah.
know, and I'm 41 right now. I started drinking coffee when I was like 6. Because I'm Puerto Rican and we
Yeah.
grew up with like espresso coffee. So it's like Cafe Bustelo and Pilon. That's all I had as a kid. That and some bread. Uh, but fast forward to like my high school years, and I was on a semi quasi date, so I thought, and it was like Halloween time. So, and I'm from Massachusetts, so we went to Salem, Massachusetts. So, which town,
Nice.
best place to be during Halloween, honestly. And
Hmm.
I loved me my Dunkins, and
Okay.
so I got like a big thing of Dunkins, and we're on our way. We're having a grand old time. And as we all know, coffee can hit you right in the bowels. And at that in Halloween Town, there wasn't really any bathrooms you can go to, unless you were buying something. And but there was a bunch of porta potties, and so I got stuck in a porta potty for a bit, and I ended up having to use the bathroom like 5, 6 times, like that night. It was horrible. Like the rest of the night when we were hanging out together, it was fine. We had a good time. We went into haunted houses and stuff. But on a personal level,
Yeah.
it felt like a bad night because it's like I gotta go right now. All right, and it's just like, and how do you transition that from like an awesome experience to all of a sudden you can feel like your innards are just gonna explode out of you, like it was
Of the
that
worst
bad.
feeling.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like explosive diarrhea style kind of thing, and I was like, I've had
Yeah.
coffee all the time. Why is this the one time coffee is betraying me?
Was it like a certain type of coffee, like a flavored coffee? Was it like really
Uh,
rich or just like a normal
I
coffee?
I always got like hazelnut, so it could have just been like
Okay.
a hazelnut iced coffee.
But the
Yeah,
iced coffees, I think, hit you even more because I don't know
maybe. I don't
why,
know.
but hey, we've all been there. I
Yeah.
just gotta say. I'm about to be drinking a Tim Hortons full caffeinated thing, and it's a flavored one. So we'll see if I get the poops. We'll be like in the middle, like,
Uh,
wait, I gotta
no.
go. Oh, it's iced yet. I thought it was gonna be
Oh.
hot. Here we go. Buckle up.
It's going down.
Yeah, it's go time. For movies and video games, welcome to Marie Plays It All. Today is a Love is Blind episode. Our page is kind of on hiatus, but like we don't care. We need to dish. George and
Yeah.
I need to dish, and we don't even care who watches or how many people. We got to get it out. And you know what? If you guys watch and you want to comment, because we're used to getting some like angry comments from people who don't agree with what we
Yeah.
say, and it's okay because we can handle it, right, George?
I hope so.
I hope so. But anyway, this is a Love is Blind recap for the first, how many episodes now? Is it nine?
Yes, because the first part was
Nine.
6, and then they gave us
Yes.
3 this week.
Okay, so we're gonna try to cram everything in there.
Yep. And one pod-sized episode.
Yes, in one pod size episode, which we know we're gonna go on for a little bit longer than that, but we're gonna try. George and I is our not so guilty pleasure is Love is Blind. And how are you feeling about season 8 thus far, George?
So I told you like off screen how like I started watching this season in the background as I was working on some art pieces and everything. And so like I honestly wasn't like invested in the beginning as I usually am with some of like past seasons. And so I wasn't like, I wasn't focused so much. No one stuck out to me in the beginning. I kind of felt like I was seeing the same person over and over again, whether it was a guy or a girl, you know.
Yep.
And I think even one of the guys had said that at one point. He was like, "All the girls sound the same except for you." And it's like, yeah, they kind of all do. But then we talked about it and we wanted to watch it. I mean, they talk about it together. And it's like, so I actually kind of rewatched everything again and like really watched it this time around.
Nice.
And even on the second watch, I feel like this season didn't have some of the hit that some of the other ones did. Like I guess maybe we've gone through all of the most interesting people in the world. I don't know. But like no one really like jumped out at me as being like, "Oh, that's the it couple," or like, "Oh man, they're the problem." It's like that one, watch out for that one, you know. There wasn't really anything like that until the end of episode 6. We had some intrigue at the end of episode 6, which seems to
Yes.
get brushed off later on, but to me, it's stuck in my head. It stays in my head through the rest of this series, and it's going to stay in there until the reunion. And that's the
Hmm.
possibility of a stalker.
Right?
Like having that little nugget in there, and I've gone on to read because now like there's always like all the internet sleuths, right? Online.
Yeah.
So like I want to know, what do people know? You know,
Hmm.
and apparently she squashed it already, like everything's cool, but it's like, oh, that's not
Hmm.
what I want to hear. Granted, I don't want him to be stalked, but at the same time for entertainment value, it's like, oh, I don't want to know more like this. You don't just think someone's a stalker out of nowhere. That just doesn't come out of thin air. That doesn't,
Right.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, very interesting that you're saying all this because I need to hear your thoughts about the couples now because I have who I think is like the meh couple. I have my favorite couple, my favorite like guy girl type thing. I have my favorites, and it's so funny that you say no one's really standing out to you. Okay, I have a theory about this.
Okay.
My theory is it's Minnesotan people. And I
It's
mean
so
this.
true. It's
It's
so
so
true.
true.
It's
And I started watching them, like they sound so Canadian. Like I hear
uh
myself in these people, and then I was like, it's got to be. And yeah, Minnesota. So yeah, if people don't know, I am Canadian. If you can't tell by my hard O's that I say, so I
there
felt really at home watching these people, and
was a
there's a
comfort.
lot
It was
less. It was comfort because it reminded me a little more too of like the UK version because there's a lot
yes.
less drama. The
Yeah.
girls all love each other. There was no backstabbing with the girls, even if there was girls kind of pitted against one another. They were very respectful of one another. The guys all loved each other. It felt very Canadian. It felt very more realistic and down to earth. Sorry, America, but certain states that they have focused on in the past, you can tell on a state by state basis the difference between the people, like if there's more drama or more botox. Especially
Yeah.
there's only like a little bit of botox in this one, and the rest of them it's like everyone, it looks like all the girls look kind of like that. Everyone seems kind of more natural in this one, so maybe it's more boring in a sense where there's a lot less drama. And I feel like some of the drama is created because they're like, everyone's just so nice because they're from Minnesota. So
Yeah. That
I don't know.
I
Like,
will say, that being said, I know I said I didn't have any favorites, but I
yeah.
do have a list of like favorite to not favorite and like most successful to not successful. And the guy who is most Minnesota-y is my favorite.
Okay,
Like I love him. Like he's so good. Because he's got the
okay.
thickest accent and the thickest like persona of that territory. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh yeah, you are so Minnesota. You
It's funny because you're telling me about like who your favorite. Well, I think you gave away your answer, like who your favorite couple or guy is at least, because there's
Yeah.
only one guy who's really hard with the
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally,
Yeah.
don't you know, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think they even like make it a point to like make fun of him at one point in the
they
show.
do, and it's sweet. He
Yeah.
doesn't care, which okay. Let's get
No.
into the people then. Let's get into the couple
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we're getting in. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's start couple by couple, and how we feel about them. So why don't we start with the first couple that really gets engaged, and that is
Yes.
Joey and Monica. Let's
Yeah.
start with Joey and Monica because we're already touching base on them.
To me, they are the best couple. I feel like every season does this. Every season starts off with the couple that is like, this is it. This is the model that we're trying to present. They're the ones that are going to make it all the way. They're the ones you should all
Hmm.
aspire to because all of
Okay.
their moments together are perfect. I have seen zero cracks in their communication and how they feel each other. Like they feel so perfect together, the way they laugh together, the way they enjoy life together. Like
Hmm.
I thoroughly enjoyed seeing them talk to each other. Every time they were on screen, I smiled. Like I felt
Hmm.
myself get happy. I was just like, look at these two. I love this. They're
Hmm.
just a joy to view and see their expedition into love together. You know?
Oh, that's
It was
beautiful.
yeah, it was just really really nice to see. And like I said, his character and the way he is,
Yeah.
they nailed it perfectly. Calling him a Labrador or not Labrador, like there's that
Golden
right? Golden
retriever.
Retriever, a
Golden
golden
retriever
retriever.
energy.
It's just
Hmm.
like yes, yeah, he's a big puppy all the time. And
Hmm.
like seeing him with like his Tarzan hair that she calls it, and hearing why he was growing his hair was like to
Yeah.
donate it. And it's like, wow, what a an admirable cause. Like to just like think to do something like that. Not most dudes don't think like I'm gonna grow my hair out so I can donate it to somebody. Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
And to luckily have like bomb ass hair.
Yeah.
Like like
It suits
dude,
him. It suits him a lot. He does look like
yeah,
Tarzan. He
yeah.
does.
And then Monica just seems like such a fun loving
Oh,
girl.
I love their energy, Joey and Monica's energy together. They seem to be so much alike, which is good. When you see him with her family,
Yeah.
I thought that was sweet. I love her family, by the way, Monica's
Yes.
family. I was like, okay, I
Yes.
love her family. Well, most of her family. Um, and when I was watching it and she sat down with her sister, I right away I'm like, here we go. Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking sisters are the worst. Sisters with
Uh,
a female sister, I feel like by nature, women are in competition with each other. That's just like
and she's an
our
older
nature.
sister.
Yeah. So when she right away was saying negative things, I'm like, here we go. First of all, she's on TV. She's going to be like, I know, you know how well I read people. It's like, okay, just chill out. Okay. This isn't your show. And she's like bashing him. And then she says, I didn't think you would be getting married first. I'm like, well, there we go. You're trying to
There it
sabotage it just
is.
so you wouldn't. I should be getting married first. And it's like, clearly you're not going to because you're a witch. Like you're trying to sabotage your delightful, beautiful sister's love that she has because you thought you would get married first. I just sometimes. And then when she's talking to Joey about it, and he right away is like, "So, do you think there's a little bit of jealousy involved?" I'm
Yeah. I was so glad he called that out.
that felt so good. And she's like, "Well, yeah." And also, I was thinking, remember how he said he hates folding clothes? Why is he the one folding the clothes? He hates folding the clothes. Offer to fold the clothes for
Uh,
him.
because he has OCD. Yeah. It needs to be done right. You saw
That's
her, she threw the
true.
clothes on the floor.
Yeah, that could be the only
Oh
that could be the
man.
only hiccup there is I think the living situation I think would be the only hiccup just because he has like such strong OCD and then she
Yeah, the
clearly
communal
does
sock
not.
bin.
Yeah. That kind of makes sense. I get it. It's not like it's a like they're clean when you put them on, like the sock bin.
I was with him, it was like sock bin. Granted, it wasn't gross in the sense of like feet. It was like they are clean. That's not an issue.
Yeah.
But it's just like I need to find the socks I need for the outfit that I'm wearing, though. For me, it's also
Hmm.
just about pairing things together. If I need my dress socks, I don't want to be hunting through your whatever socks you have. I don't got time for that. I gotta go
Yeah.
somewhere. I need socks now. I know
Yeah.
this isn't a puzzle I want to solve. What the hell?
I
The fact that
need
it's the whole
socks
freaking
now.
family. So weird.
Yeah.
That was such an odd thing. But that's what made their thing cute, I think, was little things like
Hmm.
that and how they handled it.
Hmm.
But you see that and you question that. And it's cute right now. 10 years from now, are you gonna look at that and be like, you and your goddamn sock bin?
What did you think about that whole sister conversation? Just because I thought that was just I hated it so much. Like
Oh man,
I was so angry. I was so mad.
it bummed me out too because just the moment before that, like the fam jam, oh, how cute was the fam jam?
So
That was
cute.
so adorable. And then she's getting all like embarrassed about it, but he just hops right in. Like I saw myself. I'll just say like, there was many moments within like the guise of this where I could see myself in some of them. I
Hmm.
don't always have that feeling with some of the contestants of Love is Blind.
Minnesota,
Yeah,
just like good, nice, wholesome
it's
people.
because I'm a nice guy. Yeah, I like being a
Yes, you
nice
are.
guy. And
Yeah.
so and so like that's me. Like I'm so willing to just jump right in and do anything. I don't care what
Hmm.
it is. It's like, oh, you guys do something fun? Okay, let's do something fun. It's so random and everything. None of them were
Golden
musically
retriever.
inclined.
No, golden retriever
Yeah.
energy. You got that energy.
Yeah. Because they were so welcoming. Like, how many times have we seen families on this show where the dad just giving that mean eye? You know, it's like, what are your intentions with my daughter, man, who just met her yesterday? You know,
Hmm.
there's always that judgmentalness, but they felt so open, arms wide open. It's just like, you know what? You look fun, we're fun, have fun with us. You know,
Yeah.
even like the boyfriend of the sister who we found out actually liked her initially, which I guess adds to that tension, you know.
That was
And
weird.
that was really weird, yeah. But they goofed it off. Like I love how they goofed it
Yeah.
off with each other. I was like, that's cool. And then that next
Hmm.
scene with her sister just being a royal bee. It's like, come
Hmm.
on, you can't be happy for her. Like
No.
I'd be more understanding if she's just like questioning the process. Because that's reasonable. The
Mhm.
process is unorthodox. It's weird. I would get that. But your reasoning is because like you shouldn't get married first. Shut up. Get out of
Yeah.
here. Come on.
Yeah.
That's not a good reason. I'm sorry. That's you being jealous. That is you being insecure in yourself. You know, this has something to do with her. This has to do with you now. Your problem shouldn't be her problem. You know,
Mhm.
and to me that's not a good family dynamic. You know, that means you
No.
don't have her back. I love that he pointed it out, and I like that they didn't there wasn't a big blowback. You know,
Mm-mm.
that could have started an argument. You know, think of episodes past, seasons past. Another person could have been like, "Oh, so what you got to think is my sister? You know, or what's your problem?" You know, that could have been an argument. But instead, they both
Mhm.
handled themselves really well, very well composed. And I was glad that he wasn't afraid to stand up for himself too, because he easily could have just took it and been like, "Okay, whatever." But you know, he
No.
showed that another side of himself that was more confrontational in a respectful way, and just like that whole communication between the two of them was very open, and
Yes.
it didn't feel like anyone was being scrutinized in any way. It's like, you know what, valid feelings, I'm gonna look into
Hmm.
that. You know, it's like they're both just open to ideas, and
Hmm.
just really looking at things from both sides. So I thought
Yeah.
that was really nice. That's what made me love them even more. Like that's why they're my tops, because it's like they're
Hmm.
facing problems now, like now, and issues popping up, and they're taking it on with responsibility and open-mindedness.
There was no attacking, there was no defensiveness. There it was just
Yeah.
open, like honest, like it just very emotionally mature.
I also love the moment when Monica taught Joey her dad's dance. And it's only because it's such a Latino thing. We're like, we all do that. That's not just her dad. That's all men. All right. If you are a Latin man, you all do the thing. Like if I'll put on salsa while I'm cooking and I'll start doing that. That's like we all do that. That's our thing. That's because we do it. Hey, back up a bit. So like the arm is close, like you saw how she had it.
Yeah, he was
But
like
like
this.
he was like all the way out here. And it's like,
Yeah.
granted, it's more realistic because it's as if he has a person with him.
Yes.
That's how you would be.
Yeah.
But as Latin men, no, that person doesn't exist. I'm close to
I
here.
exist. I am the partner. I Who's next? Ben and Sarah? Should we do Ben and Sarah?
Ben and Sarah are number three on my list.
Okay, okay.
Uh, that's not
Hey.
necessarily bad. That's middle of the pack. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I do think that they got a good relationship going on. I can see them rising to number two. To be honest, that they are like teetering back and forth with the number two couple in my on my list.
Okay.
You know, because I didn't really
Okay.
see anything that was red flaggy as of yet, per se. I wasn't too keen on Sarah
Me
at
too.
first. At least not at like probably by their third or fourth date or whatever, and when she starts
Hmm.
mentioning like the whole like activism aspect of her
Yeah.
life, you know, it really came off as preachy and almost
Yes.
like dictating like this is how you have to be if you want to be with me. And it had me with mixed feelings because in one hand I am a firm believer. It's like, you know, especially in the beginning of this dates, let's say you're into these kind of politics, this kind of religion sect, you know, and these are your views, and this the person you want to be with has to have the same views. I do get that. It makes sense. You know, it's like if I'm a Catholic, it probably doesn't make much sense me being with a Muslim. You know, we're gonna have different views at the end of the day. We're not going to the same church. You know, I get it. That's not the person you're looking for. You know, people who are hardcore Republican don't want a hardcore Democrat. I get it, but at the same time, like some of her things are, like I said, they feel more activism like as opposed to value like. And it just felt like,
Yes.
you know, if you're not marching with me, then you're against me. Kind of that's how she came across. But
That's
yet
the
he,
mentality
yeah, and he goes to
for a lot of people.
church and she's like, oh, well, churches don't support the things I support. And it's just like, but his going to church, he never felt preachy. He never felt like he was
Mm-mm.
pushing that kind of dynamic. It was just like this is something that's a part of my life, but it's like I would love for you to be there, but if you're not there, I get it. Like his side felt more understanding, while her
Yeah.
side just felt like, oh well, you got to be about it, like the Black Lives Matter, or you ain't it. That's how she just came off in that moment, and that just
Mhm.
really it left a bad taste in my mouth when those conversations happened.
That's kind of like how it is these days. You got one side
Yeah,
being like, I'm the accepting side, but if you don't agree with what I agree with, then I don't like you. And then you got one other side that's that is stereotypically called the side that's not welcoming, who's like, nah, I'll accept whoever. Like it's not a big deal to me. And but they're the ones looked at like they're the hateful ones.
yeah,
Like
the prudes.
she immediately assumed that because he was a Christian that he would be against homosexuality, which is like bigoted on her side for thinking
Yeah,
that all Christians are like that when they are not. So it's kind of like hypocritical
yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like believe what I believe, but I already have my ideas about how you are and how your people are. And it's just and she's like, I'm so open-minded though. And it's like, okay,
It's like,
are you?
are you?
I wanted Ben to be like, well, what if I don't have the same feelings as you? Like,
Yeah, some
what
pushback.
if, what, yeah, like, what if what if I redo my research and be like, wait a second, this doesn't add up to me? Then will she be like, not hate you now and we can't get
Yeah.
married? I mean, that's the whole problem society now. So there's no acceptance of like, hey, you have a different viewpoint than me. That's cool, like just and I understand, like, if you're like one extreme or another, like it probably won't work, but there could be some middle ground. But
Yeah.
there's something about both of them that I'm like, I don't know. I could see them having a dark side, both of them.
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know.
There was a moment. They did have a
Yeah,
moment
yeah.
because now that they're in like the apartment stage, and we find
Mm-hmm.
out that there was a girl that he had saw like supposedly 4 years ago, who made a TikTok, and now she's crying. He broke her heart or whatever. And that
Yeah.
moment, like, it was one of those things where it's like, is this a big deal? Is it not a big deal? I don't know. But like, it's amazing, like, when you start looking at his story, and he's like, all right, it was 4 years ago. I met her through like Tinder. We went on like one date or whatever. I don't even remember. I don't know what her problem is. I barely remember her. I know we never hooked up. I barely
Mm-hmm.
remember her, but I know we never hooked up. That's for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And she's like, all right, well, then why is she losing her crap over you? It's like, oh, she probably just, who knows? I don't know. I honestly can't think of what it could be. Maybe there was some DMs. And she's like, DMs? Were you guys hooking up? No, 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 we never hooked up. So we went to a bar here or there. And it's just like, you remember Tinder. You remember going to bars with her. You remember DMs. You remember a lot about her, but yet you just happen to know you didn't hook up, but you don't know what happened. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
why she could be acting like this. It's like, if I don't know, and this is a personal thing, maybe everyone's different, but it's like if I say I don't know, that means I don't know. All
Mm-hmm.
right. It doesn't mean I remember 98% of it, but that 2% that really would answer everything, I just can't remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else I remember, but the 2% that would help us right now, yeah, it's who knows. That part's kind of throwing me for a loop. Where it's like, I don't know, man. Do you have a dark secret behind that little
Yeah.
cheesy smile of yours?
See that part at the end where she's like finds just happens to find this TikTok thing, which I feel
Right?
like
She's
that was
like,
such a
oh,
that's such a
oh,
scripted to me. That
right?
was
It's
so
so produced.
scripted. That was so. And she's like, I don't know how I feel about any of this because I'm thinking if it was 4 years ago, even if they did hook up, I mean, it's 4 years ago. Who cares? I mean, but of course
Yeah,
now it's like you lied about it. If now it's like a thing, like the lies there. But he's like, I don't know, maybe I ghosted her. Like I just ghosted her. Maybe that's why she's crying. But I don't remember. I just ghosted her. I don't know, maybe I have no idea. I've never done a dating, obviously. I've never done a dating app, but
yeah.
I don't know if there's so many people that you're talking to at once that you forget stuff. I don't know if there's so many people you're hooking up with or going on dates with that you forget. I have no idea. All I know is that that felt so scripted just for drama between them. I know that People will do anything for attention on social media, especially to
Yes.
get like on a TV show. So I can see a girl just acting like she's losing her crap over a guy just to get attention. Yeah. So I can see that happening too. I don't know if I take drama from 4 years ago and put it into something that I was going through at the time. I would probably look at that girl and be like, she's really looking for attention. She wants likes, she wants shares. And also, I would think it was 4 years ago. You could have been a jerk to her, but that has nothing to do with us now or you now, because people can change a lot
Yes.
in 4 years. Like a lot in 4 years. Like you can be totally different human being in 4 years. So I'd be like, well, even if you did treat her like crap, doesn't mean anything to do with us. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of I'm kind of just
Unless it was
like,
like
okay,
abusive tendencies, then
yeah,
there's
unless it was
something to
that.
like be looking into for sure. But it's
That
just
is, yeah,
like
of course.
date gone wrong because we just didn't connect. It's
Yeah.
whatever.
Ghosted me, so what? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The point of Love is Blind is that we've all been doing dating wrong. That's the whole point, right?
Exactly.
Is that
Yes.
which I feel will come up again for another couple.
Yes. Okay, do you want to talk about people that aren't on the show anymore? Because we feel like we have to.
Well, I guess there's like a trio that doesn't even get to be a part of the couples, huh? That had kind of a
There,
big thing going on.
there's and yeah, there's kind of a square. There's
Or
a
yeah,
cube.
yeah, yeah,
There's a cube. We can talk about the cube.
yeah,
Yes. Okay, we got to do it. We're going to talk about the cube
yeah,
that is no more. Meg, Mason,
yes,
Madison, Alex cube. Let's go
yes.
into that cube, okay? And let's start with the nuclei of the couples, which was Mason and Madison. They're like the nucleus.
Okay, yeah,
Okay. And then there's the branch off.
yes,
Okay. So we have Mason and Madison. Mason also is seeing Meg. Madison's also
yes,
seeing Alex. Okay. First things first, I need to talk about Mason for a second because, dude,
yeah, yes.
I could not stand
Uh,
yeah, I
yeah.
really just want to talk about stuff. Like, could you listen to this for the rest of your life? Like, honestly, when he was on the screen talking, I was yelling. I was yelling in like cringe, and I was like, like I had to shake off the. And he didn't talk like that all the time, especially when he was
No,
talking to Meg. When he was talking to Meg, his real voice was out more. It was more clear. When he was talking to Madison, it was just I can't
because you
imagine.
know what? When he
Usually,
was talking to Meg, I felt like his true like joy and persona was coming out. Like it was there. Well,
yes.
it a little bit of a performance may have been on for Madison. Like maybe that was his sexy voice because they did have sexual talk off and on.
Yeah.
So I question if that's what it was. Where it's like she brought out his sexy side, and his sexy side had vocal fry.
Yeah, for some reason. And like
Yeah.
usually you hear the females usually have the
Yes.
vocal fry.
Same thing I
And
thought.
it yeah, in all of the seasons of Love is Blind, there's always like one girl at least who talks like that. But this guy,
Which I didn't hear until you brought it out. So my
oh,
second viewing, I was like, "Damn, shut
ruined.
up, Mason." I was
Stop
like, son of
talking.
a bitch.
Where do you want to start, George?
Man, where do you start with that?
Where do you start?
For okay, let's say we got Mason and Madison, right? I
Yes.
honestly didn't feel their connection the way they felt their connection. And maybe it was because like there was
Yep.
too much flirtatiousness at times, on like some of that sexual talk, which is okay, but like once it's he mentioned the movie Her, and she
Hmm.
didn't know about it and everything. He was
Hmm.
talking about all that stuff. But then when Meg brought up Her and she understood him immediately. And it's just like, oh my God, like, and the way they just connected on it, it was just like, how is this not obvious to you that you're not actually connecting with Madison the way you think you are?
Yeah.
But at the same time, because of the power of editing, there's so much we're not seeing, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so like that's almost unfair for them for the viewing aspect, so it's like like I've been in situations in my life, and I probably said this in past episodes where it's like, yeah, I've been between two people, not dating wise, but just like when you're kind of in that talking stage, where
Hmm.
nothing's serious, but you're talking. It's like, wow, I really like that person, but I really like this person. It's like, but I want to pursue just one person. I don't want to be that kind of guy who's just going after everybody.
Hmm.
And it's hard. It's just like, what do I do? So you keep on pursuing both in the hopes that some little thing will pop out and it's like
Click.
that's it, that's the thing. but you're playing the field. It is what it is, you know. And this
Yeah.
show is specifically designed that way, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows what they're signing up for. Where it's like we're all
Hmm.
dating multiple people, we're all giving this a shot in this experiment, you know. So it's like no, nothing personal, no feelings are meant to be hurt, you know. This is just how it
Hmm.
is. And the way that plays out with him, Madison breaks up with Mason, you know, because
Hmm.
she realizes Alex is who I'm supposed to be with, which they did click a lot better.
Hmm.
And so it's just like, all right, well now that frees him up, and even within that time, he was kind of seeing like Meg is the one. Like he compared her to her, like their movie conversations, their quirkiness, their alien
Yep.
talk,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like just hopping over to Meg. I had like this. She was weird, but I really like was falling for her personality and like her
Love her.
oddballness because it was unlike any other episode or any other season. Everyone's so this like hardcore talking about like the important stuff, which I like. I want that, you know. But this was just so kooky and nut job kind of stuff where it's just like, oh, this is actually important too. I forget how important stupid conversation is because sometimes you need that. Like me and my wife have the stupidest conversations sometimes of just weird
Hmm.
stuff. Sometimes we don't even talk. All right. Sometimes me and my wife would just be like, meow, 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 meow. It just we're just meowing. We're just right? And it can go on for
Cute.
10 minutes. And it can and
No.
you know, and that stupid stuff is needed because it's just like it's you being your truest self in front of that
Hmm.
other person because you wouldn't do that in front of anyone else. Like I'm not gonna go to the supermarket and meow, all right, you know. But you know, but having that person where you can just have that weird like what did she say like high not high thoughts or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Super high thoughts or something like
Sober
that.
high thoughts. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
it was so cool. And when she started talking about it, you saw his eyes just brighten up
Yes.
yeah, I want to talk about that. And it's like I don't know why it took him so long, but it did. It happens, you know.
Yeah.
He's also talking to like 10 other girls that we don't see him talking to, you
Yeah.
know. It's a process. And just the fact that it ended the way it did for them, it
Hmm.
didn't make sense. And I felt part of that was because of Madison.
Oh.
You know, you
Hmm.
like you said that the girls were all like friendly with each other and cool with each other, but there was definitely some drama there. Like they were they were nicer on paper or like in like the tone of their voice, but there's a cattiness to how they played
Always.
certain things out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't. It may not have been like in your face, like you're a bitch, but it was underhanded because it was almost just like you know what he's not the one I want, but I don't want anyone to have him in either. And
Hmm.
so I'm gonna screw this up for everybody. And I'm gonna have my guy. And that's how it kind of
Hmm.
felt for me. It just felt like not cool how she just said everything. It's like you might want to think about how he might be lying to us. I think he's playing us. And it's
Huh?
like let her decide that. Let her figure that out. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's just trying to figure shit out. We don't really know. You don't know him. None of you really know each other.
No.
You know? And then for her to end up with her stuff with Alex and him not even choose her, it's like, haha, just desserts. And I felt his reasonings weren't bad either. I felt like they
Right.
were thought out because she had brought up concerns for him where he's just like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. You seem like you might not be in it, you know, for the long haul. You might not be able to handle, you know, these deep conversations at times because you wonder away. Okay, I've been
Hey,
talking for a while. I'm
no,
talking.
no, everything you're saying is good. This whole love cube was so okay. First of all, let me just say one thing. Meg, love her. I would be her friend so hard. Like I saw a little bit of myself in Meg and I loved her. And as soon as she brought up aliens, I was like, oh, thank God some see, I'm like, I don't look at that like the stupid conversations. I look at that that's the real shit you should be talking about. Because
It's
that's like
fun. It's fun conversations.
it's fun and it's also kind of like existential and it shows like you you have the capability to think outside the box and you have the
Yes.
capability to think like ah man because if you believe in aliens and if you're thinking about all these like reincarnation type stuff then you're thinking about more than just the narrow world that is around us okay there's an opening you're open to stuff not just like just what the world shows you and what the media shows you. There's more, and you think there's more, and I think that that's huge and that's a big deal in people. That's why I like saying to people, like, I like bringing up alien stuff and spirits and all this stuff because I'm like, what do you think? And if
Yeah.
someone's like, nah, 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 then I'm like, okay, then we're not. You're not thinking about the big picture. But anyway, so
It shows a sense of
so
creativity too. It's that
a
creative
little bit,
mind.
yeah. And you can have like kind of like your own thoughts. You're not just what you believe, what you see. You think
Yeah.
there's other stuff going on that aren't being shown. When she's bringing up like Joe Rogan, I'm like, okay, yeah, good. I like you more. Keep going. And then she's bringing up other stuff. I'm like, hey. And I really I loved her, and I loved that she was so lighthearted, but she seemed highly intelligent. She was a goofball, but she seemed extremely
Yeah.
intelligent. I understand why she said no to Mason, and I understand why she said, like, I feel like a second choice. So I'm not here for it. She
Yeah.
handled that
Yeah.
very
For
well. I
sure.
understand why she did it. Personally, I didn't want to see her with Mason because I feel like she needs someone with a little more oomph, a little less vocal fry, and a little more depth. Because I don't know, maybe we just aren't shown, but I feel like Mason's possibly more on the surface stuff, and she seemed like she has like this depth and this brain that's just like,
Those wavelengths.
maybe he is. I don't know. Like I
Uh,
said, editing, what we see.
yeah.
Okay, let's jump to now Alex, how I felt about Alex. Alex, I remember texting you and I'm like, oh my God, I hope Alex finds love. He's a little sweetheart. Like he just seemed like a
Yeah.
little
I liked
happy to be
Alex.
there.
Yeah.
I I did like Alex. I did.
Until.
Not even like until there were just things about him, like when he was talking to Madison about Mason, I'm like, dude, leave it alone. Stop talking about him. Stop siding with him. Like I understand how, like, just
Yes.
leave that, like
Yes.
just
Yeah.
quit that conversation. Just know when to stop. He's like, yeah, I'm just on his side too. Just like I get it, but like say your thing and then move on. Like move the conversation elsewhere. You're going a little too far with this. And then also he's an anxious attachment person, which I am. And I understand that. But to me, when they started talking about emotions and attachment style and how they handle everything, he was more closed off than she was. She was being more open about, well, this is how I am. This is what happens. I'm that way because of these things. I get like this, but it doesn't mean anything. It just this. And then he got so scared of that he almost like became avoidant. And he was like, well, I don't know if I can deal with that. Okay, well, you're being avoidant now. You're being like not like, okay, so when you're in those moods, I will try to understand. And it was just kind of like he shut down too much and he's like, I don't want to deal with that. And it's like, well, that's not gonna work either because you have to be understanding of her attachment style if you're expecting her to be understanding of yours.
Yeah.
So it's I just feel like he's not as experienced in relationships and she's way beyond experienced with like life stuff. And I don't think he's as experienced. So I didn't find them to be a good match whatsoever, like at all. And then Madison to me, at first I was like, I love her. I love her. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, like so good. And like, look at her becoming all these things and being smart, being pretty. And then I always look at their Instagram pages and then I get kind of a second opinion. Um, I mean, I kind of judge a little bit based on what people post on their Instagram page and like, especially girls, if they're really,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're single, fine. I guess that's like how you, but then I'm like, what are you attracting? Anyway, so, so I was like, okay, look at your Instagram page. I'm like, okay, I understand why they cast her. And then when all the drama started happening, and then she was so mad at Mason for basically like, oh, he lied to me. He said he was committed to me and he just took it back and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, you're talking about sex with him and then your nipples and then going to Alex and
And giving
they're
him
like,
an
what,
alien bear.
yeah, like, what are you doing? Like, you're doing things that are the same, if not slightly worse than what Mason did.
I'd say slightly worse
Yeah.
because Mason's saying he's committed, sure, but you're giving a gift, like a
Hmm.
personal item that you sleep with, to the other
Hmm.
guy.
Hmm.
Like for me, if I'm doing some acts like that, it's like I'm not talking to anybody else. I'm gonna
Yes.
only talk to you because obviously I trust you with an item of mine that's very dear to me. I'm letting you into my world, and it's just
Hmm.
like, come on, man. But like you said, you mentioned like the nipple ring thing. It's like, why are you talking about nipple rings? But like, it's like
And
that's why I feel like there was a sexual attraction with him, but like an intimate attraction with the other guy. And with guys, that's a big deal. All right.
Right. Yeah.
We don't want you screwing around with anybody else.
Well, she was being like sexually dirty, talking
Yeah.
certain desserts, the lingo and everything with one guy, and then being emotional with the other guy, and then but then deep down she knew that Alex was the one, but then she didn't tell Mason. But then once Mason said, "I'm committed to you," she again didn't tell Mason, and then got mad at
Yeah.
Mason for taking it back, and then went to Alex. She's being majorly hypocritical, and then to sabotage essentially him, Mason and Meg, you saw that, and sometimes she'd be talking to Mason, like smiling when she's saying like uncomfortable things or like almost heartbreaking things, or I don't know, there's like a vindictive, like little snake action in there. And I didn't see it at first, but the more it went on, I'm like, okay, if there's one, it usually there's like a villain, right? In
Yeah.
all these in all these seasons. I think it's Madison in this season. She's the little villain.
Yeah.
Again, we're only seeing that what we're shown, like the edit and
Yeah.
everything.
Editing.
So
Yeah. Editing tells a story that this is the story we're seeing.
maybe it's just edited the way we want to, the way they want to portray people. Of course, we know that.
Yeah.
But they're painting her, unintended with the painting, her
Yeah.
as as the villain. I think with what they had to go off of.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. But by the end of it, I was not a Madison fan
Me
at
neither.
all. Especially watching it a second time. Because the first time through, like I said, I was kind of whatever about
Hmm.
Mason. And I
Hmm.
wasn't much for him at all. By the second viewing, I was just like, wait a second. He's just playing the game the way you're playing the game. Why is he a bad guy? Like, they really
Exactly.
painted him as a villain with how everything played out. And I was like, I don't think he was a bad guy at all. Like, I'm kind of with Alex. Like, I think he was okay,
Hmm.
you know? And I think if he was given a shot, like him and Meg, maybe it would have worked out. And then going back with like Alex and Madison, sure, like there was that moment you brought up where he should have shut up. It's just like, stop talking about it, all
Hmm.
right? But at the same time, it's like all of them should probably not talk about the other relationships.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something I really felt while watching this season, and it's probably lingered in other seasons too. But I was really feeling it this time around. Was just like, could you guys just shut up? Like, could you guys just like not talk about the other dates you're going on with your
Yeah.
current date? Focus. Stay in the moment. Talk to that person. All right? Everything else doesn't matter. They shouldn't have to hear about it because that really breaks the reality that you're in, or or the not the but like the fantasy, I should say. And it brings it to reality. And it's like,
Hmm.
like I don't, I wouldn't want to hear about that. I know you're dating other guys. I don't want to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Within this experiment, I'm pretending I hadn't seen anyone else beforehand, and it's just been you the whole time. Let's just pretend that within these 10 to 15 minutes that we have to talk to each other right now.
Hmm.
Why the hell are you bringing up the other person? Because if you're bringing them up, then I know I'm not your number one. I know I don't have a chance because you're focused on that. And if that's where we're
Hmm.
at, I'm done. You know? Like
Yeah.
that's what that tells me every time. And then when they go back into like the dorms with everybody else, and a name gets brought up, it's like, why are you bringing up names? The only
Hmm.
day I think it's okay is day one. Like day one, you're like, all right, who did you talk to? How'd you like that person? Maybe that day. But even then, if it's me, I'm keeping everything close to the chest. Like, I don't want you knowing who I'm talking to because
Hmm.
everyone here is out for themselves. As friendly as we're coming off with each other, at the end of the day, it's like, I want to win love for me. And if you happen to like the same person I like, well, I don't want that. you know, because I want that to be my person. And the only part of that where you could feel a little bit more compassion is like wanting the best for the person you're talking to. So I mean, it's like if you truly do like that person, you feel them loving for that person, then he's like, yeah, I really hope that if I'm not the one, I hope they do find somebody because I truly care for that person. So it's like I just feel like there's these moments where they're talking and throwing out names here and there because it also happened with Molly, right?
Yeah.
Molly, another chick.
Hmm.
Granted, it felt a little less vindictive, but it was still kind of there. Where it's just like, come on, man, why are you putting names out there? Just shut up.
Yeah. So then, what do you think? Do you want to move to the Molly
Oh, wait, yeah.
Lauren
Molly, Lauren, and
Dave?
David. That was an interesting trio.
So we know now that Dave picked Lauren over Molly.
Yes.
What did you think now that Molly's out of the picture for now? What did
Yes.
you, yes, for now, what did you think about her and Dave?
I thought they were going to be the ones that end up together, honestly, to some extent.
Hmm.
I didn't see him picking Lauren.
No, me neither.
The way Mason felt like with Meg
Yeah,
is the way I kind of felt David felt with Molly to some
I
extent.
agree. Agreed.
You know,
Agreed. Yep.
and in that situation, I get why Molly was so like, yeah, like, I think he's the one. I think I'm his one. Like I got why she came off like that. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a surprise that he picked
Hmm.
Lauren instead. David's a weird one.
Yes. There's
Uh,
something weird and shifty
yeah,
and shady
from the
about him.
beginning,
Like,
like from episode one, like something in his face. Where I was just like, I don't know about you. So you feel a little off. At the same time, he was always very upfront though about like
yes.
his shortfallings, or shortcomings, I should say. He said like he was bad in relationships. He
Hmm.
had a tendency to be too shallow and to just judge people by, their appearances, and having the profession he has, which is in, corrective surgeries of sorts.
Hmm.
That's just all he sees. He's like, all I see is Botox and lifts and all this kind of stuff. So it's like his perception on beauty is skewed now. And the fact that he admitted that from the beginning, it's like, well, that's good. It's good that he's open to admitting where his flaws are and he's trying to fix them. So it's like I did like that. Again, always like looking at him like, okay, but it's like, but what else? But where were you gonna mess up? Because like, oh, how can I forget this? I hated the way he talked to the girls in the beginning.
Oh, I know. Yes.
His conversation starter. In one
What's wrong with
hand,
you?
it's just like it could be taken as funny, it could be cute, but it's one of those things where it's like people got to know you to come across and like
Yeah.
pull off that kind of joke. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I wouldn't say something exactly the same,
Hmm.
but A, most people know me, who I'm gonna say that
Yeah.
to.
Hmm.
B, I feel like delivery means everything too. His
Yeah.
delivery didn't feel,
Dry.
yeah, it didn't feel right. And every time he say jokes like that, like, oh, like, I have an OnlyFans. No, for real. No, I'm joking. And I was just like, okay, dude,
Yeah.
like, this is not a joke. Like, we're here to find love. We're here to find our significant other. Is this how you are all the time? Because I can't handle that. If I was a girl, that's how I'd feel. I would be like, are you
Oh,
serious? Are you serious? But like, yeah, I really didn't like his initial interactions with a lot of the ladies and all that stuff. It wasn't a good start, honestly.
strong start, Dave.
Not a strong
Um,
start.
See, he is so dry and so um has this coldness and the shiftiness of where when they were in their like pre-marriage honeymoon kind of thing, you know what I mean? First of all, he was asking about CX way too much. I was like, can you
Oh my
calm down?
God.
Like, why are you so obsessed with this right now? Can you
Horny
chill?
much?
Um, are you horny much or are you just very insecure and you're thinking that she just
Mm.
doesn't want to do it with you? I just but when he was talking to people and like he would like just talk and like look around all shifty, like just the way he moves his eyeballs is weird. The lack of emotion in his tone and his face sometimes weirds me out. Too robotic. If I was Lauren and she said that she's 30 and he said, "Oh, so you're not attractive anymore." Oh, I'm out. I don't care if you're joking. I'm effing out
Yeah.
because that is like, does this guy respect women? I don't know.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Like, oh, if you're 30, oh, so you're old. That was one of the things. Remember,
yeah,
he's like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You question
Well,
which one? Yeah, you're old now. It's like, dude, calm down.
he literally said to Lauren, "You're not attractive anymore because she's
Yeah.
30, 30, 10 years younger than I." And like, if
Right.
I had
That's
anyone
for
say
me.
that
That's
at
child status.
40, I
I've
said, I
met people
know.
who are 30. I was like, oh, you're a kid still. That's
Yeah, if someone said that about a 40, I'd be like, done. Like, can you just back? Like, I- Lauren to me seems very sensitive. She does not like
yes.
those jokes. She seems very also she wants someone to be expressive with their love for her. She wants to be comforted. And this whole situation that they're going through now, he is so closed off, so cold. He's never comforting. He's never reassuring. Okay, God. The lack of
Super
reassurance and
insecurity.
validation.
Super
Oh,
insecurities from him.
God.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm pleading that Lauren does not end up with him because this is not her guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's much more suited to Molly because Molly comes across too as more closed off. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's good for a relationship for both people to be like that. But I
No.
mean, if there's no depth there in either of you, then maybe it'll work. If you're both on the surface and it can be fun on the surface at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this whole thing, George, with Lauren and this guy who she was seeing sorta before she went on the show that he kind of knows. What are your thoughts about all this as a male?
It's a mixed bag, honestly.
Hmm.
Because I'm a man, so I know how men think. You know, there's that sense of jealousy. We don't want to know that our significant other has slept with other people. We don't want to know, about, any interactions with other men. You've never been touched by another man. That's how men generally are, the majority, you know. But then you have the handful of us who can also have an open mind according to like the day and age we live in. Most people sleep around. Most people have experience in life, you know,
A past.
a
Most people have
past.
a past.
Yeah. And it's just like, again, you go on this show knowing that everyone is here because they've had trouble with dating in the past. If they were
Mhm.
great at dating, they'd be married and they wouldn't have to be here. But they're here because nothing else has worked, you know? So it's just like, this is a higher than thou kind of thing where it's just like, who the hell do you think you are? It's like, you've had trouble in the past. You've cheated on people. It's like, you haven't been good at this. Why are you judging her because she had a friend with benefits?
Mhm.
Like, who are we kidding here? Like, if she was dating the guy, like right before the show started, I could have a little bit more understanding and leeway.
Mhm.
But the fact that she straight up was like, this is a guy who I was just sleeping with just to get her rocks off.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But like that's not a serious thing. She chose you. You're the guy
Hmm.
she wants. She's not getting married to that guy. That guy's not a part of her life. And then if it's a situation where it's like, oh, my friends are saying this, and I know your friends are gonna back you up because they're your friends, I get that too. I can totally understand. It's like, why would your sister and your friends lie to you? You know, they
Hmm.
they shouldn't if they're truly your friends. But if that's the case and you say you do love this girl and you do want to marry her, but you also don't want to betray your friends, then have that moment where they can all meet up. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
have that guy meet up with all you guys. You know what I mean? Bring receipts. If this is something you can't get over, then let's just squash it. 'Cause she wanted to squash it. Like that's what I got to give Lauren. She's so upfront about everything. She's like, "Look,
Yeah.
I've been telling you everything. If I
Yeah.
was gonna lie about this, why would I tell you I slept with them at all?" You know. And
Hmm.
it's like, and now she wants to confront the friends. It's like have the confrontation, get it over and done with, and then once it's all laid out, then you can make up your mind. But this is like toying with it. Where it's like I want to give you a shot, but they're in my ear. It's like no, if you want to give her a shot, then you just get over this already and be done with
Yeah.
it. But the fact that
Hmm.
you're stretching it out and not even letting her attempt to like plead her case in front of these prosecutors, that's what's
Hmm.
happening. All these people are prosecuting her, and they don't even freaking know her.
Hmm.
And this is all done behind their backs. It's like, come on. Like this is so totally shady and not cool on everyone else's behalf. Because at least he got to talk to her friends.
Yeah.
Her friends got to like back her up. So
Hmm.
she deserves to now talk to his friends so that that conversation could be had. The fact that got shut down on his end, I thought
Uh-huh.
that was BS. I was like, come on, man. Like you don't want to work this out. You totally don't
Oh.
want to work this out. And what's funny because like in the beginning, like on their honeymoon at the Honduras thing, I thought she was the one who was kind of like holding off at first because she mentions like the whole like getting the bikini wax and everything, and
Hmm.
she's like, and I can't have sex for like 24 hours, whatever. And the look on his face, oh my God, like he's like yeah, 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 of course, yeah, yeah, cool, 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 yeah, right, yeah, right, right, yeah, that's cool, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah, I have no problem with that. But in his eyes they were dead. They were just like fuck
He has dead
no.
eyes. He just has dead eyes
He
all the
does, but
time.
they
He
were
has,
they were deader. Like the look in his
yeah.
eyes was just like, I'm on a honeymoon and I can't get my rocks off. What the hell? What the like? That's what that look was. And then for the rest of that week, he's talking about it with all the other couples and stuff.
Obsessed.
Yeah, and it's like, hold on, the holdover was just for 24 hours. At this point, if you guys aren't having sex, why? Why are you
Hmm.
not having sex now? Because like, you could be doing it. She seemed like she
Well,
wanted to do it because the way she talked about it was just like, oh, she really wanted to. It's like she sounds like she wants to. Like the look in
mhm,
her eyes was just like, damn, damn this, you know? Because every
mhm,
time they were holding each other and kissing, from the body language I got from her, I could see
mhm.
it's just like she wants to. She really wants to. So it's like, so why isn't he? Because at one point she has respect, but okay, but now as days past, why are you not now? And now hearing about this relationship,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Hmm.
it's just like, oh, okay, you got in your head. You're being jealous. You're being insecure. It's
Hmm.
like, instead of just like getting over this, talking it out, and seeing things
Hmm.
as a responsible human being and an understanding human being, you're just letting it get to you. That it's too much of a typical man thing, honestly.
Yeah, and you know what? If they're not having sex now, let me tell you, there ain't no way that a self-respecting woman who wants love is going to give herself to someone she doesn't feel accepted by or
Oh yeah,
appreciated, or that she feels safe and can trust them. And if he's can't trust her, like then in a way she's going to be like, "Oh, let's do it. Maybe that will fix things." No, because things for women like that won't work. It just won't work. It won't turn on. There's no
yeah.
on the switch is off because the emotional safety isn't there. And
In the words of
he
Joey, it's
is
so true. It's so true.
it's so
So
true. Oh,
true.
it's so true. Um but yeah, that whole thing, I feel bad for Lauren because she honestly just feels like a girl who wants love. And yeah, maybe she
Yeah.
had a friends with benefit thing because she wants to find love. She wants, and you know what? Maybe she went about it the wrong way with this guy, but she
Which
shouldn't
she
be
admitted, which
yeah, exactly. She doesn't need to be persecuted and punished for all of eternity for this one little thing that she did because the timeline's not acceptable. To Dave, Mister, you're not
yeah.
attractive after 30. Why is she? Ooh, Lauren, I hope she doesn't end up with him. Please, please,
Yeah.
like
She's
just
trying too hard for him. Like
yes,
the amount of effort she's putting in for him, it's like, screw this guy.
just screw this guy, but don't screw this guy because
No.
well, okay, let's go Virginia and Devin, and let's talk about Brittany first because there was
Oh,
Devin and Brittany. They had a little
yeah.
triangle.
Was it B Rock? Or what was her name? Right?
B
B
dot,
Rock?
B
B
dot,
dot. B
B
dot.
dot. Yeah, so I think B dot. So she
Yeah.
she seemed fun. She seemed nice. They seemed more like friends to me than
Yeah.
lovers. And the real turn was when she admitted to him that she has been in same-sex relationships before. And but then
Yes.
realized like, oh, I don't want to be with women permanently long term. I need a man and I want to have a family. But he seemed kind of like put off by
Standoff.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the whole thing about Brittany and him? Firstly, before we go to Virginia.
Uh, I mean, yeah, like they honestly did feel more like bros than they felt like a
Hmm.
couple, you know, because there's
Hmm.
just so many similarities, you know. Like I mean,
Yeah.
the things that they did were almost exactly the same. They both were in basketball together, like not together, you know,
Hmm.
coaching basketball and being in basketball. So it's like it's always that's their life, and so that bro relationship was so hardcore there. Uh,
Hmm.
but I did notice that when she brought that up, that he switched. He was a different person afterwards, you know, which I felt is unfair honestly. Because here's how I look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
You're we're both we're both in heterosexual relationships. You're married to a man, I'm married to a woman. So your husband is attracted to women.
Mhm.
Does his attraction to women put you off because of that possibility? It's like he might be attracted to another woman. You know? So because like you still love him, you still want to be with him. And so I just felt like, what does it matter? She's attracted to women too. What matters is she's attracted to you. You know, it's like so that things that's always been stupid to me. Like when someone's just like, oh, but what if they might want someone else? It's like, yeah, they might also just want another man too. Does that scare you? Does that you know? There's other people in the world. The possibility
Huh.
of another person taking your loved one is there regardless. It doesn't matter what
Hmm.
sex they are. You know, so it's like if you have that fear with the opposite sex, you should have that fear with the same sex. You know, that's I just felt that's stupid it's childish in my opinion.
The way that I can kind of see it, so not okay, it kind of doubles threat.
The
And it
percentage goes up.
increases. it increases the
Yeah.
threat of okay,
There was
so
there's
now we're
50 people before. Now there's 100 people.
yeah, and I was like, oh God, anybody can steal my girl, a girl or a guy, like, and then also maybe there's that. What if I'm not satisfying all the needs because there's only needs that women can meet? What if you feel like you're missing the female stuff? Like, what if,
Yeah.
um, I could see how it could be. There could be some guys out there who are like, oh, I don't care. Some guys will be like, oh, that's hot. I'd be like, well, you're not the one for me if you act like that. But anyway, I but I could see
uh
some guys being like, "Oh yeah, love whoever you love." Like I'm not threatened at all by it, but I can also see the other side of like, oh, now there's double threat, and there's also what if I don't satisfy like a woman could because emotionally or physically, I can
yeah.
kind of see both.
You can't help what you're attracted to. At the end of the day, it's like, who are you coming home to? Who are you dedicating your life to? If you feel like you need somebody else, then go be with somebody else, and I'll go find something different. Then we're obviously
Yep.
not meant for each other. Like those are conversations that can be had ahead of
Yep.
time, and I like that she was open enough about that,
Hmm.
and I feel like he
Yeah.
could have been a little bit more willing to like accept that information in a better way.
But they both had no hard feelings and they both agreed
True.
that they both felt like more friends, which was cool. Which I like
Yeah.
the way they broke it off. There was no hard feelings. They both seemed happy about it. Brittany felt like right about it too. And she was all like, I think she felt the same way as you would like, oh, if you're not accepting, I'll find somebody else. That's cool. Like, no
Yeah.
problem. Like, so that ended in a nice little bow. So Devin ends up choosing Virginia. Now, you said this is your second favorite couple.
Yes. I mean, like I said, but they,
Okay.
they are tied with Sarah and Ben in the sense of like they could
Hmm.
last. So like my ranking right now is favorite couples, but also like could they last or will they not last? So that's
Right.
where it's based. So they're at number
Ah.
two because I like them a bit more
Hmm.
than the other two, and
Okay.
they could last, but they have their moments, where it's just like I
Hmm.
don't know, you could be down at number three too. There's
Okay.
little I don't know, there's facial expressions. There's little facial
Yeah.
expressions that I see where it's just like I don't know if you're 100%.
I like Devin. I think he seems like a nice guy, vulnerable, open up about feelings like that. He's cried in front of them.
Yeah.
I like Devin. He seems like a good dude. I like Virginia as well, but there does seem to be something not phony, what flows up. There's something about Virginia where it's like I like her and she seems nice and really smart. I don't know. There's something where it's like maybe there's something below the surface too with her. Not necessarily
Yeah.
bad. I feel like we don't know her as well as the other people or something.
Yes.
Like there's a
Yes.
mask or something there. I don't know. But
I feel like I know this girl.
okay.
Like in the sense like I feel like I've been friends with a person like this in my
Mm,
past, you
okay.
know? And like like overall it seems okay, seems like a good person and everything like that,
Hmm.
but like at the same time like there's this undertone where it's just
Yeah.
like you think you're better than me. you know
Maybe that's it.
you
Maybe that's
know
it.
and like and in the sense where like like I'd be saying that to her, where like she
Yeah.
comes across like she thinks she's better than other people. Just it's a little bit, it's just
Ah.
it's there, but it's not in your face, but there's this essence of it. Of the bunch, I would consider her like one of the hotter chicks per se. you know,
Very eloquently said.
you
Uh,
know. Uh,
One of the
uh,
hotter chicks,
I don't,
on
I
all
don't,
show.
I don't often talk like a straight up guy, but when I do,
Yeah, she's very attractive. Yes.
yeah, like because like that does pop in the head as I watch these shows. It's like, all right, so who's the most attractive here? Because this show is
Hmm.
about attractive people. It's not about Love Is Blind. It's about hot people, which I was glad some people's friends pointed that out. Where it's just like, you guys are hot. And it's like, yeah, they're all hot.
Yeah.
Love doesn't have to be blind.
Yeah. Yeah. They
And
want it to last a little bit outside the pod, so they have to be a little bit attractive. Just
yeah,
at least.
exactly. And I feel like there's no issues in this couple. So, but because of
No.
that, because of that attractiveness, sometimes that kind of persona can come through. Not everyone is
Hmm.
like that, but sometimes when you're hot, you can think you're better than other people, you know?
Hmm.
And she's not dumb. Like she is a smart person. So like, she has
Hmm.
things going for her. So like
Hmm.
was that whole like prenup conversation and everything? It's like I get it. I get where she's coming from. Like she wants the parent to protect her ass. So it's like, yeah, you protect you, boo boo. You know,
Hmm.
I totally get it. Especially when this motherfucker his sneaker collection. Hot damn.
Ugh.
When you're
I
telling me
mean,
you're spending $700 on a sneaker once a month at least, yeah, I want a prenup, all right?
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get the whole shoes thing. I mean, to each their own. Everyone has their own
Yeah.
collections that they like to collect.
I know,
But
like we can't pretend like we don't collect things.
I'm
Like
like,
I got
there's
like a
nothing.
statue that's worth like $1,000 in my living room, all right? But I'm not wearing it, all right? It's never going to deteriorate because I'm not wearing that thing.
Yeah.
It will never depreciate because it's staying in its corner.
Mhm.
When it comes to clothing, I can't fathom the idea of spending close to $1,000 for an article of clothing that I put on my feet that's going to touch the dirty ground out in the world. And yet you're going to be the same person who gets upset if someone scuffs your shoes. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, get your priorities
Where'd this
straight,
come from?
please. I get it. I get like where she's coming from in that situation, and honestly, it
100%.
protects both of them.
100%. Especially on the show. I feel like there should be mandatory prenups on this show.
Oh, big time.
I feel
Yeah,
like Love is Blind should be like it's mandatory that you guys get prenups. It just makes sense. All right.
yeah.
That and they add like the dramatic music. We'll get a prenup. And I'm like, dramatic music and thinking like, don't try to make this drama. This she's smart. This
Right.
is real. Okay. Get the prenup.
But like, yeah, the editing and how they're putting it, and like how what's to come when she finally prints out the prenup, they're making it seem
I'm like,
super
dun, dun,
dramatic.
dun.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
the some of the words to the songs that they pick. I thought you would love me. It's like they do love each other. Calm down.
Hey, did you notice that they like up the budget for the season? There's like actually
I made a
well-known
note.
songs on
I
here.
made a
They
note of
did.
it where it was just like, oh, they must have been making money off the past seasons
Yeah.
because they got the license to a lot of pop songs.
Oh yeah, they got freaking Casey and JoJo. They got Ariana Grande.
Yeah.
They had that friggin' guy who when he sings he screams, but it's like that song.
When he
You
sings,
know
he
that guy?
screams.
Yeah, and he goes, the day come, like really like, oh no,
I
get
don't
me
know what it
through
is, but
it
I love it.
all.
Oh, Louis Capaldi?
I guess, yeah, yeah. I love that song, but like, he gets
Yeah,
really like
yeah,
yelling at
yeah.
you.
He feels it.
And yeah, they had that. They had so many. Anyway, I
It's
had a note
hits.
too where
They had hit
yeah,
songs. All the other
big hits.
seasons were like songs I liked and I never heard before. But it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's really sweet. That's cool. I don't know who these
I
artists
would
are.
look them up and be
Yeah,
like, what is this? Yeah.
yeah. I would Shazam some songs. You know, especially if the song really fit the moment. I was like, oh, that like, I
Oh,
think they curated the songs actually a lot better in past seasons, just because of how the
same.
words spoke to the moment. But
Hmm.
this season is just like, yo, we got some money to spend. Let's get some bangers. Let's
Yeah. Wait, let's move on.
so
Last couple.
last couple.
Daniel and Taylor, right? It's the last couple, right? We went through all of them?
Yes.
Yes. Let me just say
Yeah.
Daniel and Taylor are my number one.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. You like yourself a
Absolutely.
stalker man.
Hey, that's the thing though.
uh,
Okay.
I have thoughts,
Let
but I
me
want to know what you're thinking. I want to know
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
thinking.
Let me kick this off with Daniel and Taylor. In the pods, love them. I love that
Okay.
they
Yeah,
would
yeah.
like the same stuff, say the same stuff a lot. I thought that they had a really good connection. It felt real, it felt natural, it felt like off the hop, like done. It reminded me a lot of season 6. The couple always talked about the birth control. They reminded me of them.
Yeah.
That's who it
Yes.
reminds me of. And to me, I do think it's a true pure love, and they're my favorite. And what made them my favorite was when they had that big thing where she thought that he followed and unfollowed her on Instagram, and therefore I don't even know if it was like a stalker thing that she thought. She was just like, it's not authentic if he knows what I look like, because he's just like, it's not real to the thing.
Yeah.
It was their conversation when she explained it to him, and him being so calm and so understanding, and not at all like angry, not at all like attacking her, not at all getting defensive. He was just like, hey, I totally get it. I have this picture, maybe it's that. And yeah, he's like, I could have followed you. I don't know why I would have done that. He's like, if I did, I don't remember you. He seemed very. And then when she finally like gets her phone and looks through to see the unfollowers and she couldn't find him, he wasn't mad. He was like, no, I get it. He's like, we can not go to the thing. We can go home. I just want to work it out. He's like, I'm telling you the truth. But he made her feel so safe and secure in that moment. I honestly don't think that he is a stalker. And I think that everything's genuine. And I just can't get over how calm he was and just having that her having that like that safety and security, which I think number one in a relationship is feeling safe with the other person. Safe
Yes.
enough to meow talk to them and safe enough to be able to be show your fears and your insecurities and not have someone get defensive and attack you. Like I feel like I'm gonna cry talking about it because I think that's just the number one thing. Like that is where trust is born. There is that. And I that was right there in that whole conversation and how that played out. I'm like, you're my favorite. I love you guys. Protect this man because I think he's legit. Fingers crossed, dear Lord, don't let me be wrong about this because I so far love this couple, adore his family, and I when we met his parents, oh God, you feel like he could still be a stalker, is what you're saying.
I'm keeping my options open. I'm
Mm, mhm.
because watching their whole thing unfold, I was just like, man, what are the chances that they both love Christmas this much? That's crazy. You know? And it's like her Taco Bell tattoo. He's like, I'm gonna get a tattoo also. And it's like, that's weird, but okay. Maybe if you're falling for this person, you'll say things. You
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like the little things. And then when she mentions like all that stuff is on my profile, it's
Hmm.
like, so he could have seen it. And it's just like, oh, that doesn't look good. Like the things that she was saying on like about her Instagram and then everything they talked about, it's like, wow, all that lined up. And it's
Hmm.
like if he had seen her Instagram, then he would know all that information already. And here's the thing. So I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and let's just say that for argument's sake, he is a stalker.
Hmm.
Here are the things that he could have done. Knowing he's gonna be on the show, and if he knew that he had already done like followed her Instagram, you can cancel your account. And when
Hmm.
you cancel your account, all your things do disappear off of Instagram. I know this because our friend Chuck cancels his account like every other few months
Yeah.
and then hops back on again.
Who you
Right.
stalking, Chuck? Who you stalking?
But it's like so there's a possibility he could have been on there, but now it's not a show anymore. So there's that. If he is, has been following her on Instagram and then she catches him in the act, he's on camera right now. How good does it make him look if he overreacts? It doesn't look good at all. It looks way better if you come back as calm and collective and being
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, I get, I'm being sympathetic. I understand where you're coming from. It's like, if that's how you feel, yeah, I'm going to back away. I don't want you feeling afraid of me. I care for you so much. The space you need, I will give it to you. You never want to see me again? I get it. I would feel the same way as you feel right now. That's what you want to hear. Crazy people do smart things.
Hmm.
There's a reason why, serial killers get away with it for so long. It's because they're great at pretending to be normal. I'm keeping my mind open to the possibility, you know.
Hmm.
But in the cubes, oh my God, yeah. I was so for them. Like they were
Cubes.
up there. They were up there for me. And then that happened. It's just like, well, now I gotta be skeptical for the rest of this series. Thanks a lot. It's
Right.
like I'm hoping it's all wrong. I'm hoping that maybe you just look like somebody else because you all look like somebody else. And
Yeah. She Taylor does say that she's like not crazy, but like she's a chronic overthinker. She
yeah,
overthinks
yes.
constantly. And she spirals and she goes. And maybe the Christmas thing made her think of another guy. And she was like, what about this? And like, I don't know. And even if he did follow her and unfollow her, how would he have known that she was going to be on Love is Blind? Like, it was before. And you don't say it
That's
unless
the
you
other
were
thing.
cast.
He got picked. So they
He
reached
did,
out to him.
right?
So that's where like I am leaning towards a place where it's like things could be real and she's just,
Hmm.
miss seeing things, because
Yeah.
he did
Yeah.
point that out. On the other side of things, because I was talking to my wife about this, and I was just like, I told her about the situation. Like after episode 6 happened, we're having dinner, and I was like, all right, I gotta tell you what happened in episode 6, all right, because there might be a stalker this season. And she was just like, wait, what? Like this is the first time where she like her attention was caught. She's like, there's a stalker, you say? There's this because now it's interesting that this is a
Hmm.
brand new show now. This is no longer Love is Blind. This is freaking Law and Order. This and so I told her about that, and I was like, but now if this was a movie, right? And like let's put like Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan in this situation. Tom Hanks follows Meg Ryan on Instagram, and then he ends up following her onto a show where that's called Love Is Blind, and they end up together. It's like that's a sweet love story, right?
So you've got mail. It's where
Yeah.
you've got mail essentially. He's
hence
he's
why,
stalking her and
hence
playing
why
her.
I said that. Put it into real life situations, and all of a sudden it's just like this is scary. This is scary. It's like, so where does that line get drawn with women? Because that's who's this is catering to, right? So where does a woman have to feel safe, or when does she have to feel like it's a movie? Because this could be a movie. This could be that
Yeah,
guy who's like, I loved who I saw, like your Instagram, where you showed like you had so much care and compassion
yeah.
and your love for Christmas, and I want that. So I
Mhm.
reached out to Love Is Blind when I knew you were auditioning, and I wanted to be a part of that world too. And I prayed to God I would know your voice when I heard it. You know?
I mean, that sounds sweet. That
Right? That
sounds
sounds
sweet.
sweet as hell. Yeah.
And yeah, and he could have admitted that. But honestly, and like liking Christmas isn't like isn't a thing that's like, wow, you like Christmas? I like Christmas. Like, I mean, everyone loves
No,
Christmas,
no.
okay?
They love Christmas. The girl got 4 Christmas trees. That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
I know, but then he's like every year I get a Christmas picture. So he has to have the receipts of all those Christmas pictures. Like this isn't something that you can just make
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Like, and his parents were like, "Hey, we get dibs on Christmas because we love Christmas." Like his
Yeah. And
parents
that's
backed up the Christmas thing.
I was saying that too to my wife because like if he was stalking her, I mean that was the part where I was like leaning to like, could it be romantic? Because if he's telling it, let's say everything he said was the truth, and he's stalking her, was just like, but isn't he kind of perfect for you still? Isn't he still kind of the right guy? You know,
In there
he's
somehow.
yeah, and it's like, and don't we want a guy who goes for it, right? Like who has
Yeah.
the gusto and the wherewithal, and just to be like, you know what, I'm gonna freaking take a chance, and like I gotta go for this because if I don't do it, then I'm never gonna find out. I'm never gonna get the girl. You know, this is like fighting the dragon. This is
Yeah, and in the real world, she wouldn't look at me because I'm insecure and I'm short, and maybe she wouldn't like me because I'm short. So I'm going to get
yeah,
in there and I'm going to make her fall in love with me. This is like the grandest gesture of all, you know? So
yeah.
even if he did, because we did have a legit stalker in one of the seasons, and that was that chick who
Yo,
ended up with a big tall guy. And she was
yes,
stalking her ex who was on the thing. So we did have a legit stalker, but oh, it's a
yeah.
girl, so it's okay. It's not so bad.
Well, not to us. We were
We were, I didn't like her. We were like,
we
nah,
were like, And that one sucked
no.
too because she was Puerto Rican. We don't get many Puerto Ricans on the show.
She crazy.
Yeah,
She's
but it was just like, damn, you're living up to our standards, which is craziness.
I'm rooting for Taylor and
Yeah,
Daniel.
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
And even when they were in that big, like, heated table moment and they're both like Bueller at the same time, I'm like, who
Yeah,
cares if he unfollowed you? Get married right now.
yeah. In that moment, I was just like, I don't know, like one thing's guessing all the other stuff, or not even guessing,
Mhm.
but like researching, but like
Yeah.
knowing that she say that at the same time, like, ah man,
Oh,
that's too
no.
good. That's too good.
Too good. I know. I love it. I love them together. Okay, so we talked about everybody. You said your order, who your favorite couples and who you're rooting for the most. Give it to me right now. Like, let's hear them
Okay,
again, and I'll give you
so my
mine.
order is Monica and Joey, Virginia and Devin, Sarah and Ben, Taylor and Daniel, and then Lauren and David. It's only because of that thing. That's why Taylor and Daniel are so low. They would have been so much higher if that thing never happened.
Mhm.
But that's gonna be in the back of my head. It's gonna be there.
See, I looked at that moment that it happened, and it made me like
It's
them more
stronger.
because
Yeah.
of how it was handled. I was like you say, with cameras, so I know what you mean. But we've seen people not keep their cool on this
Oh,
show.
for sure.
We've seen, I mean, so my favorites are Taylor and Daniel, number one,
Yeah.
then Joey and Monica.
Yeah.
I'm like, it feels
Friends?
so weird.
Friends?
Joey and Monica, then Devin and Virginia, then Ben and Sarah, and
Yeah.
then I'm not rooting for Dave and
Oh no. No.
Lauren at all. But they're the bottom. I'm rooting for Lauren, but I'm not rooting for them together.
Yeah. Side note,
Yeah.
I think it's funny that you put them as the guy first in your duos, and I put them as the
Yeah.
girl first.
Oh, you're like
So I
ladies
say
first.
so I say Monica and Joey, but you say Joey and Monica.
Interesting. Hey, a little sociological experiment right now. Like
Yeah.
we're just that's interesting. Yeah, I'm thinking about like the men and women. Yeah. Okay, I just gotta say one thing too about this show. There, a lot of people are making fun of the show about them being like so much white people and all the guys looking the same. And I was
uh,
thinking, and so I did some research
it's
here. Like,
Minnesota. It's Minnesota.
so
It's
so
Minnesota.
I actually looked up. I left the paper
Yeah,
upstairs, but I looked up the percentage of like black or like Latino people in population.
yeah,
Compare
yeah,
in all the other states that they did, this one has the lowest population aside from Seattle. I think it was Seattle had the lowest, but this one has the second lowest. Like it's just goes with the pop. That's what the population is. Okay, like I go
yeah.
to Minnesota all the time because it's right there. It's like a 6 hour drive for me, and let me tell you, it was accurate representation of, like it seemed accurate. So people being like, oh, the casting, like it's not racist, it's just the demographic. Okay. So just everyone chill.
The first episode, I was thinking it, but once they said where they were, I was like, oh, okay, that
I'm
makes
like,
sense.
oh, yeah,
I didn't even
makes
after that, I
sense.
didn't even question it because I was like, yeah, you're
No,
not gonna find people who look like me. There's no Puerto Ricans going up there. You're not gonna find
yeah,
Mexicans, or it's like we're not. That's not where we want to be. That's you know.
no,
So
rightfully
it's no
so. Because
surprise.
let me
It's
tell you, I live close to there, and like, you don't want that weather, dudes. You don't want it. I
yeah.
mean, you're all gonna be pasty looking like me because it's winter all the time. Anyway, what do you guys think? Everyone say below. Which couples do you love? Which couples do you hate? Do you think Daniel's a stalker? Or do you think he's a sweetheart? Could he be both?
It
Is
could be
that a thing?
both. It could
Could
be
he be
both.
Tom Hanks in You've Got Mail? Could
Yeah.
he? You can find more of our content on our YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Not a Strong Start. It's been so long since we've done this because we haven't posted very much, but it's all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
And where you can follow me at Marie Plays All on Instagram. Where can we follow you, George?
And you could follow me at Nicolopolis.
Never stop playing and
Never stop on following on Instagram.
never stop stalking, Chuck. We know what you're up to.
Poor Chuck.